Well, that was batshit crazy. Let's talk about it.
Oh, just chilling in my garage and talking about movies.
The Batman, directed by Matt Reeves, starring Robert Pattinson, Zoe Kravitz, Paul Dano, and a bunch of other talented actors, follows the Batman and Jim Gordon shifting into detective mode to try to take down this serial killer known as the Riddler, who is wreaking havoc in Gotham. Now, let's talk about Matt Reeves a little bit. He's always been on my radar since he's done a couple of the Planet of the Apes movies, especially War for the Planet of the Apes. For me, it showed that he could do really grand and epic stories. Like, he could really pull that off. And I feel like he doubles down on that in this film. Now, how am I going to dive into this without sounding like everybody else? Yes, it is David Fincher-esque. And yes, it pulls a lot from noir films from the 1930s and 1940s. It really helms that style of filmmaking by being super long. It's like 3 hours long, and it presents a lot of intertwined storylines, and nothing is ever like straightforward. You go down like a rat maze. Like this film is like, you uncover one thing after another, and it's like, okay, well, these pieces don't add up. Like, there's one missing piece, and the film takes you on that journey with Batman. Now, I could see how people were like disappointed in the movie because it's not like your typical superhero movie. Honestly, we're not really here for like those intense superhero action scenes. It's a lot deeper than that. And some might not enjoy it because it's like overly long, and yes, it is a slower film. It's a slow burn. But that's how it's manufactured. Like, that's the way it was made. It's made to take its time. And personally, I don't see a problem with that at all. A negative response that somebody could have towards it is that maybe it comes off as like convoluted. Like, this person is associated with this person, who's friends with this person, who's connected to this person, who's part of this whole thing. But the way I like to see it, though, is it's complex storytelling. And it makes it feel like it's like a lived-in world. It's very well established story-wise, which makes it come off as like genuine and real. And I would have never thought they would ever get like another Batman movie that was more realistic than the Dark Knight trilogy. And this one pulls it off. Even the feel and look of Gotham are tangible. Like, this place actually exists in real life. And in such a grounded world, you have a bunch of killers and terrorists who try to break the mold of society. And in this film, of course, we have the Riddler who is doing that. And him being like this unknown figure in the film makes it exciting. Because, like, the farther you get into it, the more you know. And it's unraveling this huge mystery that's bigger than we would have ever imagined. And just based off of the trailers, I didn't think he would like come off as like over the top in some moments. Like, he does. Like, he still has like that Riddler flavor to him. Like, like at one point he has like this psychotic temper tantrum. And that was fun to see because it was like, okay, that's definitely that character. And it's done in a way where it feels like it's dark, but it's also comedic at times too. And it was fascinating to go along with Batman in uncovering his identity and his motives throughout the film. And I was super impressed to see that Batman uses his intelligence in this film. Like, he's not just the bronze. I mean, we get a lot of that too. I mean, you've seen that in the trailer. But he really uses his head. He even tops like the police force in some moments. Like, even if he is like super early into his career, he knows what the hell he's doing. And all the naysayers over Robert Pattinson being our new Batman could shut the fuck up now. You just got to see this movie, and then all of them will just go silent. He delivers everything that I ever wanted to see in a Batman. Personally, I feel like he is up there with Michael Keaton. He's intimidating when he needs to be, and he doesn't have to overcompensate with his voice in order to come off as intimidating. He just naturally is. Like, in the eyes of these criminals, I'd be like shitting my pants. Like, him like walking in, like that's all he has to do. He has to just like walk into a scene and he owns it. And he is scary as shit. Like, he effortlessly comes off as this guy you don't want to fuck with. Like a fully realized urban legend. He's like definitely like a nightmare to these criminals. And this is like another popular topic that people like to talk about, is that Pattinson is never overshadowed by his villains. This movie is called The Batman for a reason. It is very much focused on him and his story. Now, with like so much praise that I've given to Pattinson's Batman, does Bruce Wayne like live up to it? The way I like to see it is it's a preference thing. I remember when me and my wife went to go see it, she like leaned over to me and she's like, you know, he's a little angsty. And I was like, yeah, he is, but you know, personally I didn't mind at all.
I mean, you get a lot of that with, the black makeup, his hair that's always in his eyes. He does come off as like younger, I guess. If that's what they were going for, they pulled that off for sure.
I actually liked it because it was like a new iteration of Batman that we've never really seen before. This very emo and sad dude. That's what Bruce is in this movie, and I kind of like it because it also shows too that money doesn't buy happiness.
Yeah, money might not buy happiness, but it does buy some cool ass tech. Like the tech like in this movie is amazing.
So yeah, we have a miserable Bruce Wayne, and I feel like that just brings another element to the character. And before I leave, I have to talk about these trio of characters, namely Jim Gordon, Catwoman, and the Penguin. Jim Gordon, played by Jeffrey Wright, was awesome in this movie. I loved his interactions with Batman, and he really added to the story by being like Batman's sidekick in this. And Catwoman also plays an integral role in this film by always testing Batman's identity. And sometimes she's there to help him, while other times she just like leaves him hanging, and that's totally Catwoman. Despite it feeling like a earlier version of the character. Just like the Penguin. He's like in his early stages of his character before he becomes what we know from like the comics. And the Penguin, like, holy shit, is that you, Colin Farrell? I showed my wife that after the movie, and she was like, no, there's no fucking way. I'm like, I know, like, it's crazy. He completely disappears. The character isn't super major, but he has like this charisma to him that really brings a lot of like comedy to the movie that was unexpected to me. And not to mention that he also is involved in like the greatest action sequence in this movie that's shown in the trailers. It's remarkable. It's so cool. Like, it makes my balls drop just thinking about it. Just like, oh. It's my favorite action scene in here in a film that doesn't like favor action. It's naturally like a crime opus, like an epic character study with possibly the best Batman we've seen like put on the film. At least in my opinion. You could form your own, whatever. So yeah, I fucking loved it. I would give it an A. They took something as mainstream as Batman and kind of put him into like an art house frame. I love that. As a cinephile, I love that. So anyways, these are my thoughts on the new Batman movie. I hope you enjoyed. Let me know what you think, I guess. And I will see you on the flip side. Bye.